Hi everyone, I tried to get an early start to the reading this week, and I have to say that my reaction to the reading is that I'm quite overwhelmed. I've got lots of interesting, like, marked pages that, little instances that I read out and I found intriguing or interesting. Um, the story, most of you must have done the reading so far, so you already know, but I just like to give you a summary. It's about a 15-year-old girl, Lauren, who I initially thought was a boy for some reason. I read the first few pages and I'm like, okay, this is a, teenage boy that I am sort of reading through, and it turned out to be a girl, and I don't know why I thought it would be a boy in the first place. But yeah, it's Lauren, a 15-year-old. The world that Lauren lives in is 2025, and we see that there's scarcity of everything. There's scarcity of water, there's scarcity of resources. We also see, because of this scarcity, there is a lot of crime, and there's a walled city in which Lauren lives with Joanne, her best friend, and there's certain families that she speaks about. So one thing overwhelming that I found was that there were a lot of names in the story. So there's Peter Moss, there's Joanne's three cousins, there is Mrs. Sims. There's a lot of people that get introduced, and I somehow like kind of lost touch with who was who. And I think this book is it's required to reread this book as well, because I think it seems like a story that one should read twice, although I don't think I'll have the time for it. So firstly, I found it really interesting that my theme of the research paper, the title is the concept of God. And this book also starts on page number 7. It says, at least 3 years ago, my father's God stopped being my God. His church stopped being my church. And yet today, because I'm a coward, I let myself be initiated into that church. I let my father baptize me in all 3 names of that God who isn't mine anymore. My God has another name. So it actually really intrigued me that it's exactly the same theme as what I want to write about, and I think I will be sort of quoting this book, because even though this is not initially what I thought I would put down in my research paper, but I will put down some quotations from this book. It begins with it, but it's not all about God. It's about Lauren sort of worrying about the future of this walled city. She says that there's so much misery, and there's a 3-year-old child, Amy Dunn, who gets killed by a shot through a gate. And Lauren just basically keeps asking herself and talks to her friend Joanne about her concerns, and she says, we should read and we should come up with solutions, and if we're out in the wild, we should be able to survive. And we see that this is a place where dogs are starved and they're sort of a threat to everyone. We see a place where there's no rain, and when the rain comes, they're just confused about what to do about it. Lauren obviously enjoys it, but it's a dry land. It's everyone carries guns, 1 or 2 for safety. Outside the city, there are savages who will anytime come and attack them. So there's a lot going on here. I think a lot of premise to build, and I'll just, I think, read some of and Lauren has this unique, I wouldn't say ability, but this unique, I think, aspect to her, which is that she feels other people's pain. So when the dog, there's a dog that is basically shot at when he's about to die, when he's suffering. On page 45, she says, I felt the impact of the bullet as a hard, solid blow, something beyond pain. Then I felt the dog die. I saw it jerk, shudder, stretch its body long, then freeze. I saw it die. I felt it die. It went out like a match in a sudden vanishing pain. So I think I read this because I also wonder that, is it just Lauren who feels this stuff, or are there other people who are also feeling this empathy, like over empathy, hyper empathy, as Lauren calls it in the book. So I'm kind of unclear right now, that is it just a quality singular to her, or are there more people within the community who also feel this hyper empathy. There was a little more that I wanted to read about changing the climate, but I think I'm running out of time. So maybe in the reflection or the reading next week I can add on. Thank you.